Alright, let's express sine of 7 pi on 6 in terms of a first quadrant value. Well, the first thing that I want to say to you is that 7 pi on 6 can be rewritten as 6 pi on 6 plus pi on 6, because pi is just 6 pi on 6. Alright, so if I rewrite 7 pi on 6, I can rewrite that as pi plus pi on 6. And the significant thing about that is that then what I have is I have an acute angle that can be related to a first quadrant angle. Okay, so pi on 6, 7 pi on 6 itself is not an acute angle, but pi on 6 is an acute angle. So that means that 7 pi on 6 and pi on 6 are symmetrical angles. Now what do I mean by that? Let's have a look. If I draw a Cartesian plane, here is where pi is and here is where 0 is. If I go pi plus pi on 6, remember positive is in the anti-clockwise direction, that angle there is pi on 6, okay, and my whole angle that I'm talking about, my 7 pi on 6, is that whole lot there. But you will notice that the symmetrical angle in my first quadrant is pi on 6. So I can say, well, 7 pi on 6 is symmetrical to pi on 6. Okay? And that happens to be in quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. That's in quadrant 3. Now I need to know sine of theta, is it positive or negative in quadrant 3? Well, I know CAST, so sine of theta is negative in quadrant 3. Okay, so they're symmetrical angles, but sine theta is negative in quadrant 3. Okay, so all I've done is have a look at the angle now. Okay, let's also have a look. Let's start here. Let's say sine of 7 pi on 6 is now going to be the same as saying sine of pi plus pi on 6. Okay, but now I know that this angle has to be negative. Sine is negative in quadrant 3. And my angle pi on 6, if I look at my triangle, sine of pi on 6 is going to be a half. Okay, so in my first quadrant, sine of pi on 6 is a half. So sine of pi plus pi on 6 is going to be negative sine of pi on 6 because they're symmetrical angles, and sine of pi on 6 will be a half, so that answer is negative a half. Okay, if cos of theta equals 0.6, give the values of cos of pi minus theta and cos of 2 pi minus theta. Okay, they told me that cos of theta is 0.6. Okay, now that will be my first quadrant angle, theta there, and my value of that is 0.6. Okay, let's have a look at the first one that says cos of pi minus theta. Alright, so here is where pi is, and pi minus theta means negative. I'm going in the clockwise direction, so theta is sitting here. Okay, now it's the same angle, So they're symmetrical, but I need to know whether cos is positive or negative. So I go C, A, S, T, and cos is negative in quadrant 2. So that means it's going to be equal to negative cos of theta, and that means the answer has to be negative 0.6. Okay, let's have a look at the next one that says 2 pi minus theta. Remember, I start at 0, I go in a anti-clockwise direction to pi, and then around to 2 pi. So 2 pi in the positive direction minus theta means it's going in the clockwise direction. So my angle is sitting over here. Now, cos is positive in quadrant 4. So that means cos of 2 pi minus theta is equal to positive cos of theta, and that's 0.6.